Welcome to the Unpacking It Live podcast presented by Medi-Share. I'm Bryce Johnson. For the next hour, we will unpack sports, faith, and life with you in the Unpacking It community of sports fans. So glad to be here to unpack and discuss a wild Sunday in the NFL. We'll go back to Saturday as well, because you can see the shirt I'm wearing today. Some craziness on Saturday as well. But wow, football season is fully underway and the madness is everywhere. You go across the league and you think about this. Last week we're panicking about the Packers. I think they're fine. The panic appears to be gone after last night's win against Chicago, or is just Chicago not very good like we thought, even though they won last week. All right, now the Bengals are 0-2. Are they in trouble? They were in the Super Bowl last year. Arizona looked like they were heading to 0-2, and then Kyler Murray reminds us what he's capable of. They pulled out a wild win in overtime. All reliable Hunter Renfrow fumbles the ball. Are you kidding me? And then we also see the Denver Broncos bounce back after their weird loss in week 1 to Seattle, but they win, yet they're still disappointed. The Bucs win yesterday, yet they're still angry. They're still a weird team. I'll let you know what I'm convinced of in that regard in a few minutes. And then also, my Carolina Panthers are an absolute nightmare. It's a disaster. The town is beside themselves. I'm coming to you from Charlotte, and so we'll get into that a little bit as well. And then my Super Bowl pick, the Indianapolis Colts, they scored 0 points yesterday. Zero points. So what do we do with that? Well, I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And then during our Unpack This segment today, we'll go even further on really a lot of the stories from yesterday were the opposite of what we expected. To think that Joe Flacco would lead the Jets to a win? Are you kidding me? Nobody thought that was going to happen. Who thought that Jared Goff was going to lead Detroit through 2 games with one of the best offenses in the league? I mean, they're putting up points left and right. Not to mention what Miami did with the Ravens yesterday. That was unbelievable. So a lot of the stories yesterday have to do with the opposite thing happening, the upside down weekend in the NFL. And so we're going to look at that and how that relates to the Bible and our own lives. And so much to get to today. We'll let you know what we're convinced of. We'll do some tap drill, and we'll talk about some of the 0-2 teams that we still believe in, those that we're out on. And then what about the 2-0 teams? Who's most impressive? Who are we most confident in? And then tonight we got a doubleheader in Monday Night Football. Do we love this? Do we want this to happen every week? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. I was surprised earlier. I saw Mike Florio. He doesn't like 2 games going on at once. Are you crazy, Mike? Come on, man. Get 2 TVs. You're good to go. Whatever game is better, you flip over there. Commercials. We're living the dream. 2 games on Monday Night Football. Oh, my goodness. It's great. All right. We are brought to you by Medi-Share. Medi-Share is an innovative healthcare solution for Christians looking to save money without sacrificing on quality. Check out Medi-Share.com/unpacking it. Medi-Share is a biblical, affordable alternative to health insurance. Members of Medi-Share save up to 50% or more per month on their healthcare costs. Check out if it's the right fit for you and your family. Medi-Share.com/unpacking it. It's been great for me and my family, and encourage you to see if it's the right fit for you and your family. All right, so thanks to Medi-Share, and we will hear from Henry during Tap Drill. But right now, let's say hello to Luke Heaton, my co-host. Always glad to have him a part of things. Last week, Luke was down in the dumps, but you listeners, you picked him up, you stuck with us, and Luke's Texas A&M Aggies get the big win on Saturday night in front of the national crowd, and your Dallas Cowboys, another one of those surprises from the weekend with your boy Cooper Rush getting the win.
Well, it's a great day for fellow redheads. You know, we are few and far between. We're very hit or miss. We are less than 1% of the world. But when I see a fellow redhead doing things that are great, I got to tip my cap. Cooper Rush, well done. Well done, man. I mean, here's the thing. what on earth am I supposed to think about my teams? A&M goes and loses to App State, which should not have happened. Cowboys look horrific against Tampa Bay with their starter. This past weekend, A&M beats a higher ranked Miami with their backup quarterback. And then the Cowboys beat the Bengals with their backup quarterback. Backup quarterback's the way to go, I guess. So I have no clue what to think, but it was a good weekend. And I have a handful of things I'm convinced of, but your weekend was much better than mine. As great as it was for A&M and the Cowboys to win, it doesn't even come close to yours. The year of App State is upon us.
It continues, baby. Here we go. It has been an absolute blast. These first 3 weeks of college football, to be at the game in Boone when 60, what was it, 64, what was it, 63 to 61?
Unbelievable game.
First week of the season, even though App lost to UNC, to then follow that up with the monster win against Texas A&M. And then last week, the play of the weekend will be up there as one of the plays of the season. To win a game with a Hail Mary is remarkable. It's so rare. It's so hard to do. Here I am again. Last week I talked about how I didn't believe App could beat Texas A&M. Well, on that final play, I didn't think App was going to win. I didn't think they'd throw a Hail Mary and pull it out, especially the way that for it to bounce, and then you get the wonderful block for our wide receiver to get into the end zone. It was thrilling. And here's what I'll share today. First off, College Game Day being in Boone was fantastic. They did such a great job showcasing our school. So proud to be a Mountaineer. So proud of the way that we were, just kind of came across to the crowd watching, and the crowd that was there at Game Day was impressive, and it was a beautiful day up there. So I was watching and loved it. But as an App fan and just as a sports fan, I'm pretty reasonable and I'm pretty low key as far as my cheering goes throughout games. When I'm watching games, I'll get excited or I'm loud and that kind of thing. But my response on Saturday night was the loudest, craziest, bonkers behavior that I've had in at least a decade. At least. It has been a very long time. I lost my mind Saturday night. And because, again, Hail Marys are just one of those plays, one of the greatest plays. To me, a Hail Mary and a buzzer beater in basketball, especially like a half-court buzzer beater, you can't get anything more exciting.
Well, and Hail Marys are even way more rare than a buzzer beater.
Because it takes so many more things to fall in place. Yeah. Absolutely. So anyway, I'm watching the end of this game thinking, it's over. And then all of a sudden, I went berserk. And my poor little daughters, 3 and 1, they're scared to death. They don't know what's going on. Because you would think, they're probably used to a crazy dad, big sports fan. Not to that extent. They
haven't seen this side. No way. They've seen Quiet Bryce turning the light out on the Panthers.
That's right.
They've seen quiet version of you, but not my team just won on a Hail Mary.
No way. I was absolutely fired up, and it was, college Bryce came out of me. It was there. My dad was over. He was going nuts too. So it was very loud at my household.
That was my next question is, did he participate in going nuts?
Oh yeah. Where do you think I learned it from?
Fair.
So we were nuts together. And then of course my mom's there going, "Hey, quiet down. You're scaring the girls. What are you doing, Bryce? Settle down. And you couldn't stop us. It was the train had left the station. We were going nuts. And that was Saturday night. So way to go, Mountaineers. Now, the other part of it is they never should have been in that game. Troy actually outplayed App. App should have blown them out, but they got caught up in the week that was beating Texas A&M and the trap games. It was
caught
right
up
there.
In the headlines. It went to their head.
It's it's what you got to look out for. So thankfully they pulled it out nonetheless. And so we'd love to hear from the App State fans today. And those of you that aren't App State fans that watched College Game Day, would love to hear what you thought of maybe, Boone and App, because maybe you've never seen that side of things before. We'd love to hear from you.
I was seeing a video of App students jumping into a pond after the game. Is that a thing? Did you see that? So it looked like a pond on campus. So 2 questions. Is that normal after a big win? And have you entered said pond?
No, as much as I'm a swimmer, I don't jump in
True.
weird ponds.
You're
The
you're selective
questionable,
about your bodies of water.
yeah,
Yeah.
questionable water quality. I'm out. I'm out on that. But no, that's a big deal. Duck pond is what it is, and September the water's not too bad, but I've seen people jump in there in December.
Ooh, little polar
That's
plunge.
another level. So
Yeah.
we had a big win, a game before the national championship years ago, my freshman year. That was the craziest I had ever seen app. And people were jumping in, and we tore down the goalposts and all that kind of thing. So that was a long time ago. So to see the fans rush the field the way they did, it was cool. And now I don't like rushing the field when you're supposed to win, but when you win on a Hail Mary, all rules are let go.
Yes.
It was
So
you just
I wanted to
forget
bring
about
that
it.
up because to me, again, we've said this a lot. To storm the court, to rush the field, only do it when it's obvious. Like
Yeah,
when you should do it, you should do it. Winning on a Hail Mary, you rush the field.
that's right.
So yeah, it was a no-brainer.
It's a free pass.
It's a free
Actually,
pass.
our quarterback Chase Bryce was helping fans come down.
Oh,
That's what he was doing. While all
he's
the
a
other players were
legend.
celebrating, our quarterback is
Yeah.
helping fans onto the field. So that was pretty cool. But sadly, a lot of people got hurt. Actually, it turned out very dangerous. I mean, it was nuts. Boone is
Man.
nuts. So they gotta be careful up there. It's been wild. So
Paul
all right.
Paul commented, how about those Jayhawks, Luke? It's a quick shout out to KU. 3-0 this season. It's a new era. Big win
KU,
over the Houston Cougs.
How about Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, and Carolina? All 3-0. Shocking.
Wow.
Shocking in college football. So that's
Wow.
pretty cool as well.
They're not just
we'll
basketball schools, folks. Let's go.
I guess not. We'll talk a little bit about that during Tap Drill. But we'll jump into what we're convinced of. We'd love to hear from you as a listener. What are you convinced of this morning or this afternoon on a Monday? And so I'll start with a couple things in the NFL. First, the Detroit Lions are the easiest team to root for because they're fun to watch, tons of scoring. And actually, after the game, Dan Campbell sent his offensive lineman, who he's like 27 years old, has bounced around the league, has been a practice squad player. He got his first career start at guard, a position that he doesn't normally play, actually. And Campbell sent him to the podium to speak to the media. And in the locker room, he was the guy that Coach came to and kind of, I don't know if he gave him just mention, I saw it on Twitter. But to me, this culture that they're building there, every guy counts. It's not about the superstars.
Yeah.
They're building a great team. They're playing well. That defense probably still needs to, step it up a little bit more. But their number one pick, Aiden Hutchinson, wow, he's the real deal. 3 sacks for him. So they're impressive. They get the win. So I'm rooting hard for the Lions. It's been fun. Now to the negative. The Bucs are still in trouble. I'm convinced the 2-0 Bucs are still in trouble. I know people are thinking, "Come on, Bryce, just let it go, man." I know you've been out on the Bucs
think that.
for months. They're 2-0. Tom Brady
You're
just
dying
finds
on
ways
that
to
hill.
win.
Yeah.
I'm dying on the hill. I'm telling you.
You are. Goodness.
They are unraveling. Mike Evans, he lost his mind. He's now suspended for a game. Bruce Arians is on the sideline.
Okay, that was interesting.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
This is a circus in Tampa.
Yeah.
They happen to beat Jameis Winston and his 4 broken back or whatever he's got in his back. He's got 4 slip discs, or I don't know what it is, but he's got 4. That's who they beat. That's who the Bucs beat barely. They barely beat him.
Yeah.
They hung on to win. Go ahead.
Well, so I'm not willing to die on that hill about the Bucs. I know. Well, are you willing to still die on the hill of the Panthers are winning the division? Because is it time to turn the light out?
Okay,
is it already time to turn the light out? So I think the Bucs are benefiting from just a bad division. Like I'm not willing to say they're going to do well in the playoffs, but it's almost like who's going to take it from them? I don't know. It looks bad in Carolina. The Saints are still interesting. I'm a believer in Jameis. I mean, if he can get his back in check.
What do they say? It's like 4 broken. I don't even know what it means. How is he playing with that?
So concerning. So concerning. I mean, to me, him and Carson Wentz are just similar players, like just thrills, but then just devastating mistakes. Good offense, though. And then, Atlanta's Atlanta. So we'll see. I actually I think there's a wise way to go about protecting your quarterback, but I'm convinced I love when I see players stick up for their quarterback. Now, there's a way to go about it, and Mike Evans took it too far. But if someone's in your quarterback's face, if someone has a dirty hit on your quarterback, someone has to get shoved. I think back a couple years ago, Andy Dalton slid, got destroyed, late hit against Washington. Every Cowboys offensive lineman just stood there.
That was bad. I remember that.
That
was really
was
bad.
an egregious hit. And no one even looked at the defender. Like, at least walk up to him and say something. So Evans took it too far, but the principle on sticking up for your quarterback, I love. There has to be, like in basketball, you always need that player that's willing to be the tough guy, to stick up, and maybe he needs to get a tech to get the team going. So I don't know. On principle, I like what Mike Evans did, but he took it too far.
But here's the thing. Their wide receiving core is already depleted. So he left early in that game. Now he's out for another game. Maybe they'll get one of those guys back with Godwin and Julio, but they're banged up. Julio's always banged up. Godwin has kind of been injured a lot as well. So to me, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for the Bucs, and I know they're 2-0. All right, speaking of not looking good, I'm convinced the Carolina Panthers must move on from Matt Rule, and there should be no delay. The ship has sailed. It's over. 9 straight losses.
Yeah.
To yesterday's game was the pivotal game for me. Week 2 against the New York Giants.
It's the Giants.
A team that still has Daniel Jones, a new head coach in Brian Dable, and last year the Giants beat the Panthers. And so you can't let that happen again. Yet that's exactly what happened again. The offense doesn't understand that it's 2022. You look across the NFL, you've got teams that are dropping 35 points. You got the Miami Dolphins loving life. They're throwing the ball all over the field. The Ravens are throwing the ball all over the field. I mean, the Lions are throwing the ball. The Jets, and then the Panthers are up and down the field. It's just embarrassing.
What was the final
it's hard
score
to watch
of that game?
It's under 19.
It felt like it was 13-6 or something.
19-16 was it?
Ugh.
It was just so it's not working out. There's an assistant coach on the staff, Steve Wilkes, former head coach of Arizona. Wasn't great in Arizona. Didn't really get a fair shot there. So he's the only guy on staff that can take over for Matt Rule, but it's just not working out. And I just don't see him rallying the troops. From the outside looking in, he has lost the team. I know he's lost the fans, and it's not a good thing. So
it's just
I still believe in the talent.
Much...
I still believe in the roster. That's the thing. I still believe in the roster.
Matt Rule had so much hype coming in, deservingly so, with what he did at Baylor. But yikes.
But okay, here's the thing. Here's what I'm also convinced of. Stop with the college coaches going to the NFL. Enough is enough. If Urban Meyer can't do it, if Steve Spurrier can't do it, if Nick Saban can't do it, Matt Rule's not going to do it. So it's cool. He won some games at Temple, won some games at Baylor. He hasn't won any games at Carolina. So thanks. Maybe he's a nice guy. It's not working. Yeah. And the sooner we can move on as Panthers fans, the better off we're going to be, because we can't watch this game in, game out. They're barely making it on my third TV. You look across the NFL, there's so much excitement, so many great games. We've got games coming down to the wire, big time plays, wild plays. You got all this hope and all these different teams, and Joe Flacco shocking everybody. And then the Panthers. Oh, brother.
I was watching the stats, and for a while, Saquon Barkley had like 6 carries for 4 yards.
Solid defense.
And yet Carolina still wasn't dominating. That's right. Yikes. And you know what time it is? It's time for the Carolina games for you on Sundays to be relegated to the 4th screen, which is NFL Plus on the phone. they've been relegated to NFL Plus on the phone. One thing I'm convinced of today, and we kind of talked about this before the show. If you are a member of the National Football League, you cannot score 0 points. It is completely unacceptable. Are you kidding me? You can't get into field goal range.
Are you talking about the team with the number 1 running back?
Yeah,
the quarterback
who had 9
Ryan?
carries. Yeah. Team with one of the more talented rosters against the Jaguars. Maybe it's the Jags. You can't beat them to make the playoffs. Then now you can't score a point. You're telling me an NFL team can't get into field goal range one time. 50-yard field goals
Shocking.
are a common thing in the NFL. Like, oh yeah, 52-yarder, 51-yarder. You can't get into field goal range once to kick a field goal. Or if you miss it,
It doesn't
get
make
into
any
field goal
sense.
range again. 0 points is unacceptable. You can't score 0 points. I understand getting to the end zone once, kick a couple field goals, but a goose egg. It's a disaster if that happens.
I mean, think about it. The Seahawks scored 7 points. The Bears scored 10 points. So you're telling me the Colts
Even the Cowboys scored 3 against Tampa, and they looked awful. Their first snap in the red zone for the Cowboys was week 2. They had 0 snaps in the red zone against Tampa, and they still scored 3 points.
I really don't understand what's going on in Indy other than the wide receivers it's not a real deep group, and Michael Pittman was out yesterday. So, and so was Alec Pierce, their top pick, second rounder.
So logically, it's Jonathan Taylor's game.
Run the ball. I mean, 9 carries. 9 carries for Jonathan Taylor. I even thought Nyheim Hines might have a big day. A bunch of dump offs.
Yeah.
Where were those? It was like the Colts didn't even have the ball. It's like, were they at the game? Did they even know what time the game started? Seriously, it's like beyond me.
That's so bad.
It was weird.
24-0 against the Jags is so bad. Oh, man.
All right. One thing I'm convinced of, and then we'll get to unpack this. I'm convinced, and this seems so obvious now, but I'm convinced the 49ers never should have drafted Trey Lance. Why did they do this? Why did they trade up to the 3rd overall pick to draft a quarterback that wasn't ready initially and now, of course, is injured? But when you already had Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that has taken you to the playoffs and all he's done is win. I know he has had the injuries as well, but still, all he's done is win. So to me, all you had to do, even if you wanted to trade up, well, get a player that can contribute and use your picks and your all these assets that the 49ers had, and they've done a great job building a really strong roster. Just go win with Jimmy G. That's all he does is win. And so he proved it again yesterday. And to me, this is one of the more just wild stories too, with how this is all played out. And for Trey Lance to be out for the year, which actually is, you hate to say it for him, but it's best case scenario. Because imagine if he was out 6 weeks and Jimmy G goes 5-1 while he's out. Then what do you do? So it was already awkward and weird. They told Jimmy G not to even be at the facility, or he didn't want to be at the facility. They couldn't get in touch with him in the offseason. And now he's high-fiving and everybody's buddy back in the mix, and he's winning again. And the 49ers they're one of the teams to beat in the NFC. It is baffling and wild and interesting.
Well, because they traded up for him to sit out his rookie year. Like, okay, we're going to develop this guy. But their roster was in win now mode. Like, we have a talented enough roster to win a Super Bowl. So maybe they're trying to go the Mahomes route. Hey, we'll draft Mahomes, have him sit for a year, and then he's the next guy. But, gosh, I don't know.
Really, we haven't even been able to judge Trey Lance fairly.
Well,
I don't even think we can draw any major conclusions.
When he comes back, it's going to be 2023. And then, so next year, when's going to be the last time he played a full season of football? Since college. He hasn't played a full year of football.
Barely played FCS football.
It's concerning.
The 49ers, it's an interesting situation. But they've got some talent there, and they seem to have the pieces in place. And Jimmy G, when he's out there, things just happen for him. Like they as long as he's healthy, that's the big thing. So anyway, lot to unpack and kind of react to from the weekend. Would love to know your thoughts as well. You can leave your comments. Paul's already called me out for jumping off the Panthers bandwagon after 2 games. I'm still a Panthers fan, but we have to realize it's really hard to watch. This is a team that you just don't understand. They have Christian McCaffrey. Between him and Jonathan Taylor, it's like we got the 2 top running backs that barely touch the ball.
Yeah.
Feed these guys, please. Why is it so difficult? It's confusing. We're just fans watching on the couch. I'm eating my I had a delicious corn dip yesterday. I'm eating my corn dip, just wondering what's going on.
Trader Joe's?
No, I had a buddy come over, and I invite guys over to watch games and have a good time. Well, my 2 buddies reached out and like, hey, well, we got to bring something. Normally, it's not expected. I don't expect guys to bring anything over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to provide anything. I provide the TVs and the entertainment and the commentary, free commentary. So if you want to bring something delicious, go for it. But anyway, brought a delicious like corn and cheese dip with some tortilla chips. Very delicious. Very delicious. So anyway, so that's what I was doing as I was criticizing and wondering about the Panthers. I got excited one time during the Panthers game, one touchdown to DJ Moore. That was about it.
Yeah. One more quick thing. Is Tyreek Hill officially the best receiver in the NFL again? Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes splitting up is what it was necessary for us to see how great they really were. Because with them together, it's like, is Tyreek Hill really that good? He's benefiting from Patrick Mahomes. He's a gunslinger, and he's got Kelsey. Oh, is Mahomes really that good? I mean, he throws to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey. I mean, we're seeing clearly Tyreek Hill is making Tua look like an all-star. Tua, who couldn't throw the ball down the field before this year, now is throwing bombs, 60-yard touchdown passes. And then Patrick Mahomes is still unbelievable. So it's interesting. It's disappointing they had to split up, or that they did. I think we're actually seeing how great they really are. And we could only see that with them on different teams. I mean, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill is a deadly combo. And also, I'm bought in on the Waddle celebration now. It took me a week, but I'm all in.
It's catching on. It's catching on. I don't know if it's Jamal Anderson, Dirty Bird, but it's catching on. So, yeah, I saw this on ESPN.com. Tua was 14 of 18, 232 yards, and 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And so no quarterback has thrown for 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter in 15 years. The last guy to do it. Here's your trivia question of the day. Who was the last guy to do it? Sage Rosenfels. How about that? Sage Rosenfels. So before we start giving Tua the gold jacket, did we do that for Sage Rosenfels? So let's pump the brakes. I'm going to be the last guy on the Dolphins bandwagon. I'm going to be the last guy. So I'm not there yet. Well, I'll give him the love. Two nice wins. That was a huge comeback, an impressive fourth quarter against the Ravens, who looked like they were rolling, and Mike McDaniel. Yeah, Mike McDaniel and Brian Daboll. I mean, these guys come in right away. And Josh McDaniel's still looking for that first win.
We're seeing O'Connell tonight. See if he's legit against the Eagles, which is going to be.
You can't wait to watch him. Oh, you just watch him on the sideline. You love him. That's your boy. That's your boy.
That's right.
All right. So anyway, we're going to jump into Unpack This. Each week we take sports topics related to the Bible, related to our own lives. We love goofing around here on the show, but we're also serious about Jesus. We follow him. We love him. And we're trying to grow and learn and want to encourage one another each week on this show. And so I appreciate you listening and being a part of things. And so as we've talked already about the wild day in the NFL, the theme really was the opposite of what we kind of believed or thought last week or heading into the season. The opposite happened. The opposite became true. Because what did we hear all last week? Even from Luke, the Dallas Cowboys season is over. Yeah. The Cowboys can't win without Dak Prescott. And what was the truth yesterday? Well, they can win with Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard. There he was in the action. And so,
I admit it. I very much believe the season was over. And yesterday, I mean, I still can't believe yesterday was a thing. Unbelievable. Like, who is this team?
And to beat, a legit Bengals team, at least what we thought coming into the season, coming off a Super Bowl appearance.
Bad teams don't make the Super Bowl.
No way.
And they probably got better since last year. So, it's amazing.
Well, we'll talk about the 0-2 Bengals later. But anyway, the Cowboys, everybody thought they were out. They win. Meanwhile, people have been laughing about the Jets. We love laughing at the Jets. Very few believe that Joe Flacco was going to lead them to a win over the Browns.
Or that he's still a player in the NFL. I think
or that he's a starting quarterback, or that he's a winning quarterback, or that he can, stay upright at this point in his career. And especially when the Browns were up by 13 with 1:22 left in the game. But what happened? The Jets won. the Jets silenced the Browns fans. And quick side note, did you like the little mascot in the middle of the Browns field? Did you see that?
So I'm a fan of things vintage, and to me, it was cool. It
Okay.
was better. I mean, the Browns can only go up from what their logo and anything is. So any type of vintage throwback
Browns.
is necessary.
My old roommate actually has that tattoo. What do they call it? What's the mascot called? I can't even think of it. It's not Brownie, but they've got a name for him. But anyway, he's got that tattoo, which is very interesting. But anyway, and then we talked earlier about the Colts. Most people would agree that an offense with star running back Jonathan Taylor would run all over Jacksonville. But the truth is, the Colts scored 0 points, and Taylor only rushed 9 times for 54 yards. And then again, we were misled all offseason to believe that Jimmy Garoppolo would never play another down in San Francisco. They didn't want him. He didn't want to be there. But in actuality, he was never traded. And then he led the 49ers to a 27-7 win over Seattle in relief of injured Trey Lance. And so we could go on, countless examples of things, not being what we thought they would be. And there were many outcomes on Sunday that people, bought into the opposite we expected to happen. And so it was amazing that we expected certain teams to win, or we wanted games to go a specific way, and then the opposite happened. When we saw the action unfold on the field, the truth and the reality was much different than what we anticipated, what we thought, and for many of us, what we believed to be true. I believed this Colts team was a Super Bowl contender and that Jonathan Taylor was just going to run all over the Jags. And the opposite was true. And so, go ahead.
Based on further research, the Browns mascot name is Brownie the Elf.
The Elf. There you go. Brownie the Elf. Yes.
Did not know that. It's hilarious to me.
It's bizarre. So anyway, goofiness aside, brownies aside, whether we liked the results from yesterday or not, or whether they lined up with our personal beliefs of what we thought should happen, or if it went along with the media's opinions all week long or all off season, ultimately the truth was revealed on the field, and the teams that prevailed turned out to be the opposite of what most thought. That's what the reality was on Sunday. And so when it comes to the world that we live in, many people believe life should be a certain way and have bought into storylines that the culture and the media have told us are true. However, when we look to God's word and we understand what he reveals to us, we realize that the opposite of what we once thought is actually the truth. And what the world thinks life is all about is much different than God's design. It's the opposite. Many people consider, gaining everything this world has to offer: money, success, fame, power, pleasure. That's the goal of life. That's the ultimate satisfaction. That's what's worth chasing. But when it comes down to it, the opposite is true. Jesus tells us in Matthew 10:39, this is the Amplified version, whoever finds his life in this world will eventually lose it through death. And whoever loses his life in this world for my sake will find it. That is life with me for all eternity. And so it's actually given up what the world offers to chase after Jesus. And so, just like during the NFL yesterday, we're like, wait a second, wait, the Jets won? And so, we might pause and say, wait, isn't the main point of every day to get as much as we can and do whatever selfishly feels good? Isn't that what the opinions out there? Isn't that what the culture tells us? Isn't that what we were raised to believe by all the influence all around us? No. The reality of living according to God's truth is that we sacrifice, we surrender, and we obey the one who created us and calls us to live a selfless life that looks like the opposite of what the world says. Philippians 2, 3, and 4 says, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Wait. I thought it was all about me. It's all about me. Paul also encourages us in Acts 20:35. You should remember the words of the Lord Jesus. It is more blessed to give than to receive. What do you mean? I want everything to come my way. What do you mean? It's better to give? Things are the opposite in God's economy and God's the way he operates. God's word is different than what the world tells us and how the world operates. That's the reality. That's the truth. And so the world tells us all about being self-made and strong and powerful and never showing any weakness. Yet the truth is that God works in amazing ways when we're weak and humble. And so in 2 Corinthians 12, 9, and 10, Paul describes how he pleaded with God to take away what he considered the thorn in his flesh. But God told him, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Talk about the opposite of what the world says. Paul responds by saying, therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Talk about the opposite again. When I am weak, then I am strong. Jesus also says in Matthew 5:10, blessed, comforted by inner peace and God's love are those who are persecuted for doing that which is morally right. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven, both now and forever. And so today, NFL fans can't deny what was revealed during the games on Sunday. That was the truth for week 2, as I knock over everything in the studio. Although much of what we saw was the opposite of what most believed, we still know it's the truth of week 2. And so likewise, as we follow Jesus, we can't deny what God reveals through his word. Although it's the opposite of what the world believes, we know it's the truth. So today, let's remember to live according to it. So let's follow his way. Let's go his way. It's the opposite, but it's the truth. It's the reality. It's the way God designed it. He is the creator. So why are we going to push against it? Why are we going to go the opposite of his plan, his path, his way of doing things when it is the best way? And so we talk a lot about that here on Unpacking It. But Luke, why don't you jump in and you can unpack this a little bit more.
Yeah, it's actually really relevant to, so last night, my church, we had our quarterly member meeting, and we just go over like budget updates, vote in new members, vote on other things, hear from the elders. And one of our elders was talking about, I think I've said this quote before on the show, but it's a Dietrich Bonhoeffer quote. And he says, when Christ calls a man, he bids him to come and die. And you talk about, that is the opposite of what culture and what the world says. Wait, lose your life? Come to die? No way. But that is the call. Christianity is not, and this amazing guy, one of the elders at a church was talking about last night, Christianity isn't just agreeing to some doctrines. It's a call to discipleship. And that doesn't mean we're earning our salvation. But being a Christian is a call to discipleship. And discipleship in the Bible, being a Christian is lose your life so that you may die so that you may have life, so that you may be raised in Christ. Discipleship is a death of self. And a death of self is the exact opposite of what the world's wanting. Oh no, uplift yourself, turn inward, focus on yourself, pleasure, self-reliance, self-strength, pursue what you want. Oh, follow your heart, man. But no, we are called to be disciples of Jesus. And by God's grace and by the power of his Spirit, he helps us do that. So that's a great reminder. Yeah, you want to lose your life? Lose your life and gain it. You want to gain your life, gain the whole world, you'll lose everything. So really, what's the cost? Is it worth dying to self so that we may have Christ for eternity? Oh my goodness, absolutely. It is absolutely worth it. And I think just a practical thing to ask ourselves is there anything in our life that Not that all culture is bad. I definitely don't want to say that. There's plenty of good things about culture by God's grace, especially as Christians influence culture around us. However, if there's things in our life that are spot on with culture that is not biblical, maybe that's something to think about. Like, wow, I kind of live in a way that actually is pursuing what culture says. What's going on there? It's just a way to like check our own lives. Like, maybe we need to do the opposite. I mean, George Costanza does this in Seinfeld. He does the opposite because everything he does is wrong. But our lives are, on average, probably going to be the opposite of what the world pursues. And that is a good thing. And by God's grace, we're able to do that.
Amen. Amen. So it's a challenging principle and reality to embrace, but that's God's word. It really is. It's so much is kind of the opposite of what we've been taught by the world and by culture. So we have to test it and push against it and embrace and know and understand and really believe what God says. And I know for me, and Philippians 2, 3, and 4, in humility count others more significant than yourselves. That's a strong challenge right there for us to consider today. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. It's so easy just to get caught up in what I got to do, what I need, what I desire, what, how I want things to happen, but to actually put others ahead of ourselves. That's the call.
Yep. And I think, just to clarify, what we're not saying is, oh yeah, you got to lose your life, you got to live a miserable life to follow Christ. No, there is a joy, a sweetness, a glory in being a disciple of Jesus that comes from losing your life, from dying to self. Dying to yourself doesn't mean you can't enjoy anything. Doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm going to be sad the rest of my life. No, it just means dying to the world's pleasures. There is so much pleasure and joy and amazing things that are in Christ. Just like think of I read a book called Made for Friendship. And I think one of the greatest gifts God has given us is friendship. And that's an amazing thing.
Amen.
Dying to self doesn't mean giving up something like friendship. There's godly friendship is so sweet. And every one of us, think of some of our best memories. It's with a close friend or a close family member. And that's an amazing thing. So there's still there is true joy, true like beauty in a life following Christ. But to really attain that, we have to die to what the world is calling us to.
That's right. What our number one focus and desire and all that kind of thing. So and putting our selfishness aside, which is a daily death to self and a continued pursuit of knowing Jesus deeper and more profoundly and following after him. So that's what you can unpack today. That devotional will go out through email. We go out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you can check that out on unpackingit.com/subscribe. And you can subscribe for free on our website today if you aren't already an Unpack This subscriber. All right, so much more NFL to unpack today as, this hour flies by for us. But, we talked about some of these wild games and wild finishes. What jumped out to you? What was, as you were watching, what really caught your eye, Luke? And those of you listening, what was the most surprising kind of finish, or what was the most exciting one for you? I'll let you jump in first. Go ahead.
So I think what makes college sports amazing is the chaos. Professional sports are a little more methodical. You kind of know what's going to happen. There's less sloppy play, typically. In the NFL, typically the better team's going to win. There's not as much chaos, not as much high scoring, certainly. But the Miami-Baltimore game, I mean, come on. Unbelievable. You don't see scores like that very often. Long touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, 70-yard touchdown run. Tyreek Hill's catching 60-yard bombs. Chaos down the stretch. A comeback. That game was so exciting to watch. It was unbelievable. No matter who would have won, that fourth quarter, go watch the highlights if you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, watch the highlights again, because we don't see that kind of football in the NFL that often. It was just so fun to watch, just exciting, chaotic football. It was amazing. Explosive plays. So that was my big takeaway, is that was a treat to watch.
You know what? Another kind of wild game, and the Rams pulled it out, and it's like Super Bowl champs. Falcons are one of the worst teams in the league. But back-to-back weeks, the Falcons have made their games really interesting all the way till the end. And, the Rams are almost like looking for ways to lose, which in some ways they still have some concerns there. Like Cooper Kupp, he's still the best receiver. Now Tyreek Hill's making a run for it. But Cooper Kupp, my goodness. But then he kind of made a mistake, and so allowed the Falcons back in that game. And so that was remarkable. And then this was not an exciting game, but how about the Texans once again making it interesting toward the end as well, and just sort of roughing up the game a little bit. And so last week they tied with the Colts. This week they lose by 7 to the Broncos. The Broncos really needed that win, and Russell Wilson, things still haven't clicked yet. He's still not riding. Let's ride.
Out of the gates.
We're waiting, Russ. We're waiting. Let's ride. Come on, man. This is a bumpy ride so far.
Train will not leave the station yet.
This is talk about not scoring much. I mean, geez Louise. 16 points for the Broncos. It's they got to be better than that. Judy, I guess he's day to day. But I think the positive
big day
for
Sutton.
Yeah, the positive for the Broncos, though, is they followed up a disappointing week 1 loss. Monday Night Football, Seattle, a lot of criticism. They at least got the win. So that helps them. And then the other game that went into overtime, it was just wild that the Cardinals got back in that game against the Raiders. And, Cliff Kingsbury was looking at an 0-2 situation where people would have been calling for his job. Similar to what we're doing here in Carolina.
Yeah.
So they pull that one out. Kyler Murray, he's one of those guys. I can't trust him. I still don't trust him. But man, those 2-point conversions were outrageous.
Again, 2 more things why yesterday was great. We're literally watching. It almost was like high school and college football on a professional level. Kyler Murray on one of the 2-point conversions ran around for 15 to 20 seconds, like he did in high school. He was just running around like a video game. And then the second 2-point conversion, unbelievable throw to A.J. Green. That was crazy. And then the Cleveland and New York Jets game, to miss an extra point. I mean, Cade York was the hero week 1.
Don't remind me.
Hero, but then misses an extra point. And then for the Jets to recover an onside kick and then go score, I'm thinking, we don't get weekends like this in the NFL very often, where multiple games, it's just complete chaos. So it was, I don't know if we're going to talk teams that we're concerned about, but
go ahead.
Goodness gracious, the Raiders, very concerning. To start 0-2 in the AFC West, talk about an uphill climb. The Chiefs, very much still the team to beat in the AFC West. Chargers, they look good. Losing to the Chiefs is certainly not anything to be upset about. But goodness, the Raiders, to lose like that, to be 0-2, yikes. Doesn't look good.
All right, so this is very obvious, but this is the reality of the NFL. It's all about winning close games. And last year, the Raiders were able to win those close, dramatic, wild games. A lot of those balls just kind of broke their way. And so the plays went their way. And that's why they ended up in the playoffs. You think about a team like the Tennessee Titans, which we'll see tonight on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
A lot of things went their way last year. Tight game. They weren't blowing people out. Tight games.
They were without Derrick Henry.
That's right. They got the wins. And so now, this year, things might not go Las Vegas's way in those tight games. And that's going to be a really tough division. If they might be, they're still, I think they're still competitive. They're fine in a lot of ways. But these are the games where you gotta pull them out if you want to make the playoffs, because the margin in the NFL is so small. That's why we love it. That's why there's parity. That's why the Jets can win on any given week. That's why Atlanta can play you tough. That's why Houston can play you tough. That's why Seattle can win on a Monday night game, even though they're not very good and they might not win again. And Chicago could win the first week of the season in the
Yeah.
rain because the margin of error, a little bit of rain benefited Chicago. A week later, you go up against Green Bay, in Lambeau, or Sunday Night Football, not going to happen.
Yeah. So I'm so concerned because the Colts, I mean, they're with the division they play in, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Them, Jags, the Texans, and the Titans, the Colts are okay. The Raiders, it's concerning. It's so concerning. One other really cool thing, the Lions being up 22-0. How cool is that? To see the Lions controlling a football game. Like you said at the beginning of the show.
I mean, they find ways to lose. This time they did not, which is huge.
Yes. That's just so fun to watch, especially, again, Hard Knocks can destroy a team or it could really benefit a team. But now that we are invested personally, if you watched Hard Knocks, into the Lions, I mean, is there a fan in NFL that hates the Lions? There's no way. There's no way. They're so likable. And I heard a stat earlier today. It's the first time in like 11 years the Jags, Lions, and Jets all won on the same day. I mean, they all three won. That is a rare event in recent history. Very rare. And the fact that the Texans almost joined the list as well would have been even more rare.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. The other game we haven't talked about, the Steelers and the Patriots, a low-scoring game. I'm not sure New England could be overly excited about that win, but now being 1-1, Steelers 1-1. Of course, the questions become: do you bench Mitch Trubisky? Is it Kenny Pickett time? I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to do anything, emotional or based on one game. So I think he wants to give Pickett more time, not put the pressure on him,
and Trubisky
that
too.
type of thing.
I think Trubisky deserves more time. I would say the jury's still out on him. He needs a little more time in the new situation for him to really, have a good shot. So
did he not have time in Chicago? I guess that's Chicago. So we'll give him a few more. We'll give him a few more weeks. A few more weeks in Pittsburgh. But that was a little bit of a surprising loss for them in Pittsburgh, especially with New England. Didn't look very strong that first week. But they ran the ball better. Damian Harris, who ended up getting hurt toward the end of the season or end of the game, looked pretty good for them, which I think is going to be key. They got to run the ball well. That takes the pressure off Mac Jones. That's why they were successful last year. But they didn't look too good against Miami in week 1. But now after 2 weeks, looks like Miami, they're living up to the hype. So again, I'll be the last one on that bandwagon. But
that was a low-scoring game. When I got home from church, the 2 games that I was able to watch locally, the CBS and the Fox game, was Saints-Bucks, low-scoring, snoozer of a game.
Snoozer.
But then also Patriots-Steelers. I'm like,
tough day.
This is tough draw.
So you don't have the red zone?
No.
Oh, Luke.
No.
Luke, you got to find a way. To watch football on Sunday without the red zone it's not good.
Yeah.
It's like eating dessert without sugar. It's like sugar-free desserts. Sugar-free desserts. It's
More of a savory guy though. More of a savory.
It's like, you still have football. You still have football, but you don't have the red zone. Yeah. You gotta have some sugar, man. That gets you going.
Your boy Hansen.
Scott Hansen. That's right. Yeah. That's right. 7 hours of commercial-free football. That's what we get. So, let's see. I think we talked about all the games. Your Cowboys, Bengals. So, Bengals are now 0-2. I personally am not surprised by this. This is actually one thing I did get right. I thought the Bengals would struggle this year. Just kind of the Super Bowl hangover, losing. It doesn't always translate very well for teams. And again, they got a lot of those breaks last year. I'm not sure they're going to get all those breaks this season. And Joe Burrow, didn't play a lot, training camp, preseason, a little bit rusty to start the year. We know they've got talent there. We know what Burrow's capable of, but I'm not sure that they're going to have the same type of magical run as they had. I'm sure they'll win like 4 in a row at some point this year, something like that, but they're off to a pretty slow start.
Here's the one thing that I'm impressed about the Cowboys-Bengals game is when your starting quarterback goes down, is your coaching staff going to go ultra conservative? Hey, you know what? We're going to try not to lose the game. We're just going to go heavy run ball. We're going to run the ball. We're not really going to let him throw. Or are you just going to say, hey, we've got nothing to lose. We got our backup quarterback. Let's just see it. And the Cowboys let Cooper Rush go out there and play. That opening drive, going for it on 4th and 2 and letting Cooper actually throw the ball. I'm like, yes, why don't coaching staffs do this more often? You already have your backup out there. You're already at a disadvantage. Why not just let him play?
Yeah.
So I'm glad Dallas didn't go the conservative route. So that was a much needed coaching victory from the Cowboys coaching staff because it was looking grim, especially how last season ended. I mean, yikes. So that was a good feel good win for Cowboys fans to see, okay, this coaching staff's got a little more left in the tank.
Yeah, so the Cowboys, Cardinals, Broncos, Lions, Jacksonville, Jets, like all those teams really needed a win. Like those, especially with kind of coaches that were questionable to start the year. Those teams really needed it. So that was impressive. Whereas New England, they still got Bill Belichick, so it's nice. It's always nice for them to stay in the mix. But I think they have to worry too much there. But as far as tonight's game go, and so I don't think we're going to do a full on tap drill today. I think we'll just kind of tap around a couple topics here as we wrap things up today.
Yeah.
Henry had some other commitments today, but tonight's Monday Night Football. First off, it's a double header.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love the staggered start. I've always enjoyed the two, the double headers. When I was single and I watched every football game, it was fine when the games kicked off at 10 o'clock at night. But now this one's a little bit earlier, and then the first game starts earlier. So I'm all in on this. And I would even say, I wish this was the case every single week. It's Monday night. If you're going to make a big deal about the night, because I don't like the risk of what if the one game's not great. I like having options. I like having two TVs going.
Yep.
I'm all in.
So the point on what if it doesn't live up, you have to go for the high floor NFL scheduling. Don't go for the home run, high ceiling. Oh, what these teams could have a great game. Look, Packers, Bears, Sunday Night Football. Yikes. No one's shocked that it wasn't a good game. Monday Night Football, I was looking at the schedule. Monday night, there's a lot of good games. Thursday nights look grim. Doesn't look good. And I'm concerned that there's going to be a lot of flops on, hey, we're riding with one game on Thursday, and a lot of them just don't look good. So I'm concerned about that. But the doubleheader is great. I mean, Monday night, we're already conditioned to watch football on a Monday night. We're clearing schedules. We're aware, hey, it's Monday night. We got the Manning brothers, now Joe and Troy. Add another game. Come on. Absolutely.
And so tonight's matchups are pretty intriguing. So you go Titans, Bills, and then Vikings, Eagles at 8:30 Eastern.
Potential NFC Championship preview. I mean, two teams with serious momentum. So I am very excited. And last year, Bills Titans would have been a lot more exciting. You're definitely out on the Titans
already after one game.
Yeah, I want to see if the Bills are going to make a statement tonight and say, you know what, we're going to just steamroll another team, and we're here. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then selfishly, I'm hoping Vikings, Eagles, even though I'm rooting for the Vikings this season, I hope it comes down to the last possession. Give me a good Monday night game.
That would be sweet. So I'm all in though. I'd love so next year there's going to be multiple doubleheaders. I think 3 next year. But to me, then that's a baby step toward let's just make this part of the schedule.
Yeah.
Because I love the 7 o'clock kickoff. That means I can actually see the end of the game tonight and get to bed at a decent hour. And then I'll catch the late game. Okay, I'll catch the late game in the morning. So that to me is best case scenario. So I'm all in on that. One other story that caught my eye from the weekend, former Unpacking It guest, Herm Edwards, who was fun on the show. He's out at Arizona State. And so I'm not going to break down whether, they should have kept him or whatever. The question is today, would you like to see him back in broadcasting? And remember him at ESPN, he was an NFL guy, and then he went to coach in college. So if he returns to broadcasting, do we want to hear him back on the NFL? You play to win the game, or does he slide over to college football and beef up that coverage a little bit?
Well, as a kid, I could never remember who was who, him or Tony Dungy. To
Oh,
me,
really?
they were the same person. I was like, oh, there's Tony Dungy.
Different personalities.
Yeah. I could never remember which one was which, but yeah, bring Herm back.
That's what between you and Cooper Rush, I don't know the difference. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see. I'd
That's
love
high
to see
praise right there.
Yeah, that's right. I'd love to see Herm back on, and I think
Would you prefer him in NFL or college?
To me, he's been disconnected from the NFL a little bit. Last couple of years, he's been all in on college football, so he knows the game better. So I'd probably have him double dip, actually. So I'm gonna answer my question and say both. Where we've seen this a little bit, like Jay Williams will do NBA, college basketball, and then kind of, I think he's now even more NBA. Jalen Rose did a little bit of both, and then you have to land. Then you have to land.
Your boy Jay quadruple dips though. He's giving hot takes about the NFL.
Don't listen to those. You can't listen to those.
Literally,
you're listening to that morning.
I'm turning on ESPN radio, and their ad for the upcoming show is Jay Williams giving an Aaron Rodgers take. Like, wait, what am I listening to? I'm just gonna have to turn the channel. Are you kidding me? Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
Yeah, I don't listen to that. I haven't. It's been a long time. All right, last question. So, we talked earlier about the basketball programs, college basketball programs doing pretty well to start the season. Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, UNC. Mm-hmm. To take that a step further, how about the ACC? UNC, Duke, Florida State, Syracuse, Clemson, Wake Forest, and NC State are all 3-0. And what makes this so interesting is, we just sort of all accepted in the offseason, well, there's going to be these two big conferences, Big Ten and SEC. You've got the, kind of the Midwest and then the South. And we sort of just forgot about the ACC. We're thinking, well, maybe Clemson will jump and, leave everybody else behind. And those will be the two big conferences. Well, I don't know. Does the ACC, kind of keep things interesting? Does this open up the door? How does this affect things moving forward? And can these teams actually keep it up throughout the season? It's nice to start off strong, but what will this look like the rest of the way? Of course, some of these teams played some easier opponents early on, but as we know, as an App State grad, you can never overlook anybody. But still, that's the reality. So anyway, I don't know your perspective coming. I'm in ACC country. Your perspective as a fan of the SEC and a fan of college football. What do you make of the ACC getting off to a big start?
Well, I would say it feels like people forgot about Clemson as well. Like everyone was written off, but Clemson's like
a 10-win season was a down season.
I know, pretty astounding. I don't know. I mean, there's just so much unknown. Like the SEC commissioner was in a recent article talking about just not even thinking about divisions anymore. We're on a one division conference and what the future is. It's all interesting. So yeah, I don't know.
I am in favor of that. Eliminate the divisions.
Well, yeah, because he was like, he's like, oh, well, people are calling for the pod system. He's like, no, that's not going to work either. So some type of, I don't know, the NFL's model is just so good with how you make the playoffs, wild cards. They have divisions, but yeah, I don't know. It's good to see. I mean, from my perspective, even though I'm an SEC guy, I like when there's a lot of good teams. So it's not just, oh yeah, well that I know who's making the college football playoff by week 4. No, I want it to go down to the wire. As a sports fan, yeah, do I want A&M to have an easiest route possible? Yeah, sure. My Jayhawks tied for first in the Big 12 right now? Yeah, absolutely. But no, yeah. The ACC being good is good for college football. There's no doubt about that. As an SEC guy.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean, yeah, these are, big name programs mainly because of basketball with Duke and UNC and even NC State to a lesser degree. Shout out to Brady, loyal listener. But
if you haven't watched the ACC basketball docuseries on ESPN,
I still haven't.
Please
You've mentioned it multiple times.
It is the greatest.
Now it's football season. I can't watch it during football season.
Oh, but you're a diehard sports fan. Come on, you're a basketball guy at heart. It is. I promise you, it's the greatest sports documentary I've ever seen in my life. It's 10 1-hour-long episodes, the entire history from like the 1950s to present day about ACC basketball. It is such rich history. It's unbelievable. I could not stop watching. Please go watch it on ESPN Plus.
That's cool. All right. You've convinced me. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. So, all right, man, we could talk all day. A fun weekend in the NFL. And about a lot of the results were the opposite of what we expected, what we believed about certain teams. The opposite ended up happening. And again, the parallel for us in life is God's word and God's way is really the opposite of what the world tells us and culture tells us, and even just a lot of the stuff that we've grown up to believe is the best way or what life is all about. It's not the truth. It's not the reality of how God created things and his way and his kingdom and his order and his design in is really the opposite. So that's the encouragement for us to as we wrap up today, and appreciate everybody listening and always love hearing from you. You can email me, Bryce at unpackingit.com. Let us know your reaction to today's show, reaction to the football weekend, questions, concerns, thoughts, feedback. We love hearing from you. So thanks everybody jumping on the chat today as well. We'll be back next Monday, Lord willing. We also plan to do the Fantasy Football Fellowship show tomorrow morning, and we'll talk more NFL, especially about some of these individual performances. Tua, my goodness, remarkable. So where does he end up now the rest of the way in fantasy? And I think he's been on waiver wires for people. So we'll get into that conversation tomorrow as well. We're waiting patiently here in Charlotte. Will Matt Rule keep his job after 2 losses to start the season, 9 straight losses, and it's not looking good. There's actually a restaurant in town that's willing to offer 10 free wings to everyone if Matt Rule is fired by 5:00 today. So
No way.
They're all in. They're all in.
Wow.
So here's the stats. 9 straight losses for Matt Rule, 10-25 overall, 1-25 under Rule when allowing 17 plus points. They've actually led in 17 of the last 19 games, 5-12 in those games. So I talked earlier about the tight games. And a lot of times it's coaching and quarterback play that puts you over the top, and that allows you to win those close games. Well, the Panthers clearly haven't had the quarterback play. And so is that the whole blame, or does it fall on the head coach? And I think fans are starting to say enough is enough.
It's almost like Baker looks worse in Carolina, though.
Yes.
Like maybe it is. Maybe coaching is what's going on. Okay. I don't know. It's like whoever plays quarterback in Carolina right now all look the same. Baker looks just like Sam Darnold last year. Well,
so true.
Darnold was worse.
Sadly. One last thing, just as a little nugget as we wrap things up. I saw this on Facebook. I thought it was pretty cool. So Mike Morton, probably don't know the name, but he made his NFL officiating debut and became the first Super Bowl winner to become an NFL official, which is cool.
Wow.
To take it a step further, he's a dentist. How about that?
What?
Remarkable story. So he played 7 years in the NFL, Raiders, St. Louis, Green Bay, Indianapolis, and in 1999 for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl, the Kurt Warner year. And so for the past 15 years, the former NFL linebacker has worked as a dentist just outside Charlotte, a town called Kannapolis. And so the dentist becomes the first Super Bowl winner as an official. How cool is that?
Did he quit his job as a dentist?
I don't think
Did he throw in the towel?
I don't believe so. No, I think he's still a dentist. I can't confirm that. I can't confirm that. I go to a different dentist, but
just a quick side note here. One, how someone has the margin in their life to be a dentist, and then I'm going to go be an NFL official on the weekends, which people do for full-time jobs. That's such high stress. You have to know so much, which then reminds me, there's no way Kirk Herbstreit sustains what he's doing.
Oh, no. No way.
Like, as just like a man thinking through this, I don't have kids, but I am married. How does he have time for his family?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's a short season, kind of, September to January, but still, I don't know. That's going to be hard. I'm with you. So we'll have to get our research team on whether or not he's still a dentist, but still a cool story anyway.
In-person experience. We need to get one of the interns to book an appointment with him.
There you go. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
He'll probably his dentist business will probably pick up even more. So that's
instead
cool.
Instead of the movies with the sunglasses, you're watching NFL films while you're getting your
Yeah,
teeth
there
worked
you
on.
go.
Yeah,
That's right. No, the other day I'm at the dentist and the TV was on and it was like one of the judge shows or Jerry Springer, something along those lines. I don't even know what it was, but it was like absurd. And I was like, hey, can you please change the channel? Instead of changing the channel, she just turned it off.
Oh,
I was like, come on. I mean, come on. You got to at least
Jerry
give me
Springer
something.
or nothing.
That's it. Oh, you don't want to watch that? Fine. It's off. Throw something on. It's either that or I'm looking at the light.
Yeah.
The dentist light. So
I miss being able to be at like a kid's dentist. I was that guy that went to a pediatrician and a kid's dentist for far too long. When I was 18 years old, Cook Children said, you can't come here anymore. And I went till I was 20.
No, you didn't.
Cook Children's, 100%. I didn't find a doctor. Look, I was at college. I'm like, I'll come back. Oh yeah, I need a physical. Cook Children's, like, we're really not supposed to take you. You're 20 years old. I mean, I looked like Buddy the Elf walking around. But then I stayed at my kid's dentist for far too long. But here's the thing: they gave me the sunglasses. I'm watching great movies. I put a little quarter in the candy machine, get something. Now my dentist, nothing. And my hygienist, I have the same person every time. She's a kind gal, but she asks me questions that demand an elaborate response while she's working on my teeth.
Always.
Like, where's the social awareness? I can't respond to you. The whole time is, yes,
like
that's what I was doing. Actually, what do you think about that? I'm like, I have nothing. I literally have nothing. It's outrageous. Audience. It makes no sense to me. So that monologue, I hope that blessed some of you.
Yeah.
For those of you, I wonder if there's anyone who went older to their pediatrician than 20 years old.
Are you still brushing your teeth with a Mickey Mouse toothbrush?
No, I upgraded to the electric toothbrush. Yeah.
There you go. That's good. That's good. Still using bubblegum toothpaste?
Ooh, more of a mint guy.
You want bubblegum or mint today, Luke? I want bubblegum, please.
I know. They don't even ask. It's a shame.
No asking anymore. That was a sad day whenever that was always a fun decision to make. Ooh, I'm in the mood for spearmint or strawberry today. Now it's just whatever they got.
It's totally different. No movies. Yeah. I mean, I have retina damage after my dentist appointments because no sunglasses.
Oh, I still get sunglasses.
I got to go eyes closed.
Oh, I still get sunglasses. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I always wonder who else has been wearing those, but
yeah, no chance of disinfecting.
That's another story. So, all right. Well, good show today. Enjoyed it. Thanks for everybody listening. Again, love the feedback, and we'll talk to you next week. I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It Live podcast presented by Medi-Share.